Hello, St. Cecilia parents. Sister Anna Laura here. Wanted to say thank you for such a wonderful first 2 weeks back in school. And just to say I'm so proud of all of our students and faculty and staff for the beautiful spirit they have brought to this extraordinary school year. I also wanted to share with you some things that are coming up, particularly our community and culture days. Our first one will be this Wednesday. I went into classes last week to talk about this with our students, and I wanted to share that with you also. What you have on the screen before you is our all-school theme this year. Jesus' words to the apostles the night before he lays down his life. He reveals to us the fullness of who each one of us is. He says, I have called you friends. And that indeed is who each one of us is. Each one of us is God's friend. And he gives us also the grace to extend his friendship to everyone we meet. So we've been talking about true friendship. And in a nutshell, of course, what is that? It's willing the good of the other. And that's, of course, why we're living the safety protocols. We're doing it so that we can be together, even though sometimes it might be inconvenient and it might just even irritate us or we get tired of it. Doing it for each other to keep each other safe and together. Also, falling under our theme of true friendship will be something we will particularly be talking about this year is growing in civil discourse and intercultural dialogue, as well as relationships, friendships, boundaries, and practical points for reporting any kind of concerns that we have. So as we're planning, we wanted to carve out time for us as a school community to delve into these. And so we created special days to do this, the Art of Living Community and Culture Days, 2 in the fall and 2 in the spring. I want to just take a second to unpack these words that'll help understand the big idea behind these days. This phrase, the art of living, it's how Pope Benedict XVI defined the new evangelization. He says, really, in a nutshell, the new evangelization is about teaching the art of living, reminding people again of who they are, how to live together, so to experience the fullness of human flourishing, to be happy. The art of living. The new evangelization, we know it's not new in the sense of message. The new evangelization is about speaking the gospel into this particular moment in history. The gospel is always the same message, right? It's always the good news about the human person, the good news about who God is and who we are. Who is God? This is my favorite picture of God because it reminds us that God is a trinity of persons, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. I think you can see it in the picture. You can see the Son very clearly, and then the Father is right above him, and then the Holy Spirit is encompassing them. This catechism quote, I think, is a beautiful companion to this picture, saying this, reminding us who God is and who we are. By sending his Son in the spirit of love, God has revealed his innermost secret. God is love, an eternal exchange of love, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and he has destined us to share in that exchange. This is the good news. This is who God is, and this is who we are, what we are made for. And of course, we'll be happy to the extent that we do what we're made to do. And that's where this art of living comes into play. Community and culture days. Another image, symbol, if you will, that I think is helpful for understanding the goal of these days is this image of planting seeds. So here this man is planting seeds and he's going to cover them up and they kind of disappear from our sight, if you will, and they spring up in these beautiful flowers, particularly like zinnias. They're very hardy and gorgeous. And the way this symbol works, of course, is these seeds represent the invisible beliefs about the human person that we hold in our hearts and in our minds. And then they disappear, if you will. They're covered up. People don't see them, but what they do see are the fruits. They see these beliefs that are really made visible in the way we talk and speak, in the culture we create around us. So what kind of seeds are we planting? What kind of culture do we want around us? If you plant these kind of seeds, you get a beautiful pumpkin patch. If you plant these kind of seeds, you get crabgrass, and then you get a garden that looks like that. So we'll also be thinking and looking for any kind of crabgrass seeds, if you will, that we may have in our hearts, and asking the Lord to take those away from us and to weed our gardens and to give us pure hearts. So Community and Culture Days are dedicated to reflecting on the dignity of each human person, growing in our ability to relate well to those around us, and building a culture of true community and belonging that's really at the heart of our mission. This is how the day, our first day, September 2nd, will unfold. We'll meet in the morning in advisory, and then we'll begin the day with Mass, weather permitting, in the courtyard. And then we're going to watch a documentary together called The Human Experience. It was made a few years ago. Two brothers, they wanted to get to the heart of what is it? What is the universal experience that really unites us all? And so they go around the world. They go to a leper colony in Africa, and they go to Peru. They live on the street with homeless people in New York City for a few weeks to seek really an answer to this question. So I think it'll be a wonderful place for us to begin our discussions this year. In the afternoon, we'll have a guest speaker, one of our alums, Pearson Briggs, who will speak on compassion, the foundation of dialogue. Our second Community and Culture Day will be October 27th, and we're very excited to have Derek Young be our keynote speaker for that day. Derek is a consultant and also worked with us all this past year on our strategic plan in forming that, and he's going to help us work towards our goal. I stated in my letter on August 4th. I read it partly to the students because you wonder, does anyone read these? I don't know. So hoping to strengthen St. Cecilia Academy as a place of belonging that combats racism in all its forms, we seek an integrated approach that flows from our Catholic mission and is grounded in recognition of the dignity of each human person made in the image and likeness of God. And then I just went on just to point out this perspective informs the practical means to help us in a greater understanding of and sensitivity to cultural diversity and intercultural dialogue. So we're assembling a committee to oversee this effort, and Derek Young will be leading it. We'll be sending out a survey, and Derek will be leading some focus groups just to collect information, feedback, and data that will give us information and direction as we seek to grow. Our faculty will also be studying two church documents. One is from the Congregation for Catholic Education, Educating to Intercultural Dialogue in Catholic Schools, Living in Harmony for a Civilization of Love, and also a recent document that the U.S. bishops published, Open Wide Our Hearts, a Pastoral Letter Against Racism. We went over with the students Derek Young's process that he'll be leading us through. And ultimately, our goal is to continue to find the way, right, towards true community, solidarity, friendship. Martin Luther King Jr. is such a tremendous example of somebody being rooted in the truth about the human person and navigating in very, very difficult times. And he says this: time is cluttered with the wreckage of communities which surrendered to hatred and violence. For the salvation of our nation and the salvation of mankind, we must follow another way. And that's what we are about at St. Cecilia, is finding that other way towards true peace and solidarity. In the spring, our Community and Culture Days will be February 3rd and March 31st. And we will on those days incorporate many of the excellent student recommendations that came to us this summer in regards to formation in healthy relational boundaries, reviewing how to report issues of concern, and education in clear communication, refusal skills, and all of those type of topics. Pope John Paul II, I just wanted to leave you with a quote from him, really the friend of all young people, the founder of World Youth Days. And I told our girls that if they don't know much about him right now in their lives, it's okay, because if they don't know him, he knows them. A saint in heaven who very much, while he was on earth, a heart for youth, and certainly now that he's in heaven. And he says this to all youth of the 21st century: dear young people of every language and culture, a high and exhilarating task awaits you. that of becoming men and women capable of solidarity, peace, and love of life with respect for everyone. Become craftsmen of a new culture where brothers and sisters, members all of the same family, are able at last to live in peace. And we left with just a question. We left off on Friday just with this question that we'll consider as we travel through this year. What is the role of social media in helping us to meet this challenge that St. John Paul II extends to all young people to become craftsmen of a new culture? The role of social media in helping us in dialogue. And so we were just looking at what research shows is that communication, when we're trying to get a message across, communicate what's in our hearts and our minds, 7% of that is just through the words we say. We'll be communicating that to other people. 38% will be communicated through our tone of voice and inflections, and 55% through our body language. So this is just interesting to take into account as we consider the question of what and how do we go about true dialogue to move towards a deep understanding and ultimately towards friendship. Because indeed, that has been the St. Cecilia way since 1860. Dialogue with an eye towards true friendship. So thank you for listening, and I look forward to traveling through this year together with you in God's grace and growing in his friendship. God bless you. Thank you.